This is Clarity Coach Lucy, and welcome to Tuesday Talks at 3. Welcome to episode 2 of the Well Woman series, a series that helps us to celebrate the health of women. Some very important aspects that we are bringing to you. And joining me on this is a coach, a health coach, and his name is Fred Geshuki. And we had him on last week. Now, in this series, we have 4 episodes. The first episode is what we covered last week, which was managing diabetes. What deep, profound discussions that we had. And if you missed it, all you need to do is go into my YouTube page and look at the recording, listen to it, and take in and just, internalize. Or just here on IG, you may be able to find the last episode, which is episode 1 on managing diabetes. So I'm talking about this series that has got 4 episodes, and it is all about women. We are celebrating International Women's Day this March, and therefore we are using this time to put the focus on women and their health. Because if you are healthy, you are able to show up as a woman. You're able to do what you love to do and impact people. You're able to nurture because you're coming from a place of health. And at times, there are things that we do not know about ourselves. So it's great to have these conversations. And I do hope that they are of value of you. And if you want to hear more, just drop me a DM and ask me, and we can bring that conversation. So today, it's all about maintaining a healthy heart, not only a healthy heart, but also hypertension, that is your blood pressure, being able to manage that. And then we move on to the third episode, which is going to be about managing a healthy gut. Who doesn't want a healthy gut? A healthy gut does many things, clears up your skin, gives you a lot of energy, allows your digestion to flow easily. And then last but not least, and this we left for last, was about healthy skin and the different things that we can do that we just need to be aware of. Some of these things are just available to us, but we kind of walk on by because we do not have the awareness. Lovely to see you there, Nancy. Lovely to see you there, Kavin. And as I mentioned, we've got a health coach with us today, Fred Geshuki. And as he is joining us, I just want to share with you some snippets that I got together as I was doing my research. So how to maintain a healthy heart and manage your blood pressure is something that we learned in school. And this actually brings some kind of interesting dinner conversations. Why do I say this? I have sat with the youth in quite a few places, quite a few tables. And what has come across is most of the youth, and I would say a higher percentage of the youth, were like, why did we go to school? A whole waste of time, because whatever academia that we were taking is nothing that we are applying in life today. And I beg to differ. I so beg to differ. Because in this case of maintaining a healthy heart and managing blood pressure is something that we learned in school. At least during my time, we learned about it. And the question, therefore, is, are you practicing it? For those of you who can remember learning this in school, are you practicing what you learned about maintaining a healthy heart? Are you practicing what you learned about food nutrition? That would help you in matters hypertension. It's a big question of the day, and I'd love for you to share with me here in the live chat. And let's get talking and just see who remembers the topics and what takeaways do you have that you're applying in your life today? Because these are real issues. You don't need to go to a doctor to advise you about food nutrition. It's something that you already know. And in our last episode, Fred alluded to the colors of the rainbow when it looked, what your plate needs to look like, I beg your pardon, when you've got your vegetables and maybe a different plate that's got fruits. Amazing. This is what you need. So having said all that, my personal experience leaves a lot to be desired. Because the things that we learn in school, apart from knowing how to manage and to maintain, you do learn about the predisposition, in that in case it is running in your family, then it's something you need to be aware of, and you need to go for checks, whether it is annual, monthly, name it. The doctor advises you, well, My mother was managing her hypertension. I mean, that should have already been a red flag for me. Being female and being the next in line, I should have just been more careful. But you see, what we learned in school, applying, okay, you get it. So that meant that I was more likely to experience the same thing like my mother. And I needed to manage it, manage what I ate, manage my stress levels, or manage my fitness and so on. Well, let's talk about food. I'm very particular about what I eat. And those of you who know me, who have broken bread with me, you do know I'm very particular about the things that I consume. But just that head knowledge is not enough. Because just like Fred said to us last week, it was more about what you're eating in moderation, the combinations that you're eating. And I've heard a lot about this from people who are in the world of food nutrition. So if you look at your plate, it's supposed to be in a certain way, the protein is supposed to be a certain amount. I cannot always remember it. I think it's the palm of your hand. You're supposed to have some starch because the starch carbohydrates are good for you. The vegetables are good for you. I remember what Fred said. It needs to be colorful. So look for different colors of vegetables on your plate so that you're not only eating the green, and green upon green, which I love. I absolutely love my greens. But then I'm aware that I can do more to that green plate that I have plated and add more colors, It brings in more taste, more variety, and actually then I can have more of it. So in moderation. So that's about eating. I'm not a bad eater. When I say a bad eater, I mean that I choose what to eat and what is nutritional for me. Where I have room for growth is the combination of foods on my plate. So something that you can read up on it, or remember what you learned in school. It's quite a few years back for me. So I'm looking here and just hoping that you can be sharing with us some of your ideas. So that's on what I eat, my stress levels. Now, my stress levels are just amazing. Had gone through the roof at a certain time, but I didn't know. I didn't have the awareness of that. I just thought that life was happening and that was my automatic response to not getting what I wanted or things not going the way I had hoped for them to go, because that is the definition of stress, that you have planned to do one thing, but actually when it manifests itself, it appears as something else. So are you ready for it? If you're not, you start to feel anxious, you start to feel frightened, you start to feel, confused and lost. And that is stress. And doesn't mean that stress is bad. You've got your good stress and you've got your bad stress, but it's stress anyway. The good stress is the one that fires you, drives you, moves you to do something that is inspirational and motivational, something that is changing in your life, something that demands you to take action to do. So that is one thing on the good stress. Now the bad stress is the one if it is not managed can lead to depression. And of course, from depression, then we're looking at suicidal thoughts. And if we're not looking at suicidal thoughts, we're looking at doing things out of moderation. And when I say out of moderation, I mean that you're doing them beyond moderation. So you're overdoing things. So if you love your glass of wine, you will find that you're having it by the bottle. If you love to eat your fries and your crisps and your rotisserie chicken, now you're eating too much of it, and it's not good for your gut. Your gut health then is suffering. If you are a smoker now, you become a chain smoker. Now all this because of stress. It is you responding to that bad stress. It could be that now your language changes, or you become somebody who is a recluse. You don't want to meet with people. It just goes off the chart. So that is stress. So the little story that I would love to share, and I'll bring it up a little bit later, is that I went to see a doctor about 2 years ago. I wasn't feeling well. I just felt things were off. it wasn't right. And I just wanted to figure out what was wrong with me. And I was coming from a point of fear. I was so afraid what the results would show. Anyway, I go to see this doctor and I go into different tests, one after the other. It was a full day at the hospital, and I thank God for my son, and a shout out to him, to Dimitri Makridis. Dimitri he forked out 34,000 Kenyan shillings so that I could do all these tests. And when I finally get to see the doctor at the end of the day, because and I think there's only 1 or 2 tests that I would have to come back for the results the next day, at the end of all this, the doctor says, Mrs. Makridis, you are very healthy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And I said, but this is how I'm feeling. He said, yes, you want to check in with your stress levels. You want to be able to just understand what you're going through, what you're experiencing in life right now. Maybe it's something that you're finding difficulty in managing. And boom, I realized what it was. It was the pandemic, and my roles had shifted. I was no longer the bread earner. I was having to depend on my children to, take care of the roof over our heads, to take care of the food on the table, the power bill, those things that I did all that time, and I did without thinking for so many years. Suddenly, the pandemic had put me in a situation where I just couldn't provide. And even if I was providing, it was not at the level that I was at. And because I'm solution-based, I'm a doer, action-based, I was still kicking into work. I thought the harder I worked, the better I would be, the more business I would get. But those were different times. And my children belonged to different industries, different professions. And so their professions were thriving. Now, this stressed me. Why? I just needed to get to that point to understand. See, what I'm saying right now makes a lot of sense, but at that time it didn't. So are you in that situation? Are you feeling stressed? And you are having to go to see a doctor, and every time you go, the doctor is saying there's nothing wrong with you. Take some me time. Fred advised us last episode that we need to make me time a thing. We need to make it a thing. So take a moment and just sit back and in retrospect, look at your day. How has your day been? How has your week been? How has your month been? Because as a woman, you're a nurturer. So automatically you are getting up to get things done. Whether or not you have the capital, it's what you do. And then you make do with what you have. This is what we are. But if you are stressed, it's very difficult for you to show up. So that was the second one. So the first one I talked about was what I ate and then my stress. The third one is fitness. So these are the ways that I could be managing my blood pressure or my hypertension or things that I needed to be aware of that at that point I hadn't connected the dots at all. I hadn't connected them. I really have now, and I wish that we could have Fred on this session. I think he's having challenges logging on, but let's keep moving. The third one was my fitness. Now, for those of you who've been following me in the last 3 years, you would remember an episode where I said that I love drinking my Coca-Cola. And I decided that I was going to stop drinking Coca-Cola as my go-to drink. And I was going to change that and have water. So as a result, my life began to change. It was very difficult to move from this high sugar level to water. And so it took a bit of time to make that shift. But I made it, and now water is second nature for me. I've got water in the car, I've got water by my bedside, I've got water at my working table. I carry water, and every time I go somewhere, I order water before I order any other drink. So at the end of the day, I know that for sure, what I need to do is make that change in my fitness. So I started off with water. And when I started off with water, I then went over. So my fitness levels. And I decided to keep moving every day for a minimum of 45 minutes. I tell you guys, the difference to my body, it was huge. I just felt so different being able to do this. Hello, Fred. Great to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, I think you were having challenges joining us.
Yes, but I followed you quite a bit. I could see you, I could hear you, and you did a very good job. I couldn't do it better myself. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Thank you so much. Well, Fred, today's discussion is about maintaining a healthy heart and about managing our blood pressure, hypertensive or hypertension. So why is it important for women to do this? If you could share with us, what are your
Yeah, yes, it is important because women have a lot of challenges in their day. They run their family. They are the movers and shakers of the house.
Yes.
When a woman is at her best, the family is at their best. But when a woman is down, I have a personal story to this. My mom had high blood pressure for the longest in her life. And anytime she went down, everything went down in the family. And it was pretty stressful for the entire family, seeing your mom being unwell. So managing your heart, for her, she said her challenge came from using family planning medicine.
Wow.
And that's what the doctor told her. And it was a big challenge for her. But we thank God that we're able to manage it, and I'll share that a little bit later. Thank you.
Well,
Back
thank
to you.
you so much. Well, it's interesting you talk about what her trigger was. My trigger was the trauma of my mother's illness and her subsequent passing on. And that is when I went to see the doctor for a flu. I had a flu. And it's a specific clinic that I go to. So as the nurse was taking me through the triage, she said to me, Lucy, your blood pressure, it doesn't look like the usual reading. Just monitor it. Be careful about things she said about your salt. Check out your stress level. Try and drink a lot of water. But let's see when you come back, because I was going to go back for the test results. And when I went back, Fred, again, the BP was high. And therein started my journey. And I am told that the illness and the consequent death of my mother is what triggered my blood pressure. So any kind of trauma has been associated with increased hypertension risk, and therefore anyone is susceptible to it. What are your thoughts on that?
Very true, very true. And you find that just like you, the fact that my mom had high blood pressure, it means that we have it in the family. When you have somebody who has pressure in your family, then you are predisposed to getting pressure. However, if you manage your diet, if you manage your lifestyle, if you are exercising regularly, if you are eating a balanced diet, if you are investing in some good supplements to supplement your diet, then you don't necessarily have to get high blood pressure. The fact that you get high blood pressure means that probably somewhere in your lifestyle, there are some compromises that you made on your diet, which made you highly likely to get it. So the trigger came and it found a fertile ground, and that's when you got high blood pressure. So it is important and it is imperative for us to really work on our lifestyle and really be intentional about avoiding stressful situations, managing stress, adapting to situations we cannot change, and accepting what we cannot change, so that you don't overthink too much, which will actually drive you down that line. And but most important is diet, and lifestyle. That's the most important thing as far as your heart health is concerned.
Oh, wow. That's just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. What are some of the supplements that we can use for maintaining a healthy heart and managing our hypertension?
Okay, you can use several. I always advocate for natural and organic. I could be biased because I tend to deal with the Neolife supplements. But I
Yes.
always advocate for natural and organic. And one of the supplements is omega-3. You know,
Yes.
God gave us food and He gave us remedy in the food.
Yeah.
So we have our nyama choma on this side. We have broiler chicken, which we love eating. We have our
Yes.
blue band and all these things. You know, when you take these things that have saturated fats, when they get into your arteries, they solidify and they make your blood vessels narrow. So when the blood is trying to push, it has to push through. It strains the
Yeah.
heart, and that's what we call high blood pressure. Just like when you constrict the nozzle of a pipe of water, the way the water spurts out is the
Yes.
same way that happens when you talk about high blood pressure. So now that we have all these solid fats that we enjoy, our chips and all that, now for your information, any fat that is solid at room temperature will be solid in your body. Even if you cook it and it
Wow.
liquefies, when you take it, it will solidify in your body.
Yes.
So when that happens, then you have bad cholesterol, and that can result to high blood pressure. Now, on the flip side, God gave us fish.
Yeah.
And when I talk about fish, I talk about the best kind of fish is salmon fish, which actually helps now to clear the vessels, the blood vessels, so that now
Wow.
the bad cholesterol can go out and all that. So that is where now we recommend omega-3 salmon oil plus. The
Yes.
company that I deal with, Neolife International, has omega-3 salmon,
Yeah.
which actually helps now to get rid of the cholesterol from your system. But one thing that you can do, and you can look at this, the people from Western Kenya who tend to eat fish from morning till evening, breakfast is fish, lunchtime is fish, evening it's fish, every day of their lives. High blood pressure is not one of their lifestyle conditions. They may have others, but not high blood pressure because their pressure is well managed because they get a lot of omega-3 oils in. So the first supplement for us who are in the city is omega-3 salmon oil plus. That's very, very important
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow. Wow.
There are some,
You've mentioned
yes,
you've
go ahead.
mentioned something that is a bit concerning there that we need to be aware of. You said any fat that solidifies uh, outside your body will solidify inside your body. Did I understand that right?
Yes,
And
that's the exact truth.
that is very scary because we love our blue band. We
Yes.
love that on our bread. There's nothing tastier than that if you're going to have that in a hot cup of tea with enough sugar in that tea. I'm saying all the wrong things here, Fred. But you know, this time we're enjoying life. I remember my mother, God bless her soul, would always say, you know, I need to eat these foods now because where I'm going, I'm not going to be having this enjoyment, is how she used to say it. But on a serious note, you then mentioned cholesterol. And just tell me a little bit about cholesterol and how that affects my heart or my blood pressure.
Okay, so but the cholesterol can be good and cholesterol can be bad. There's the low density lipids, that's a bad cholesterol, which goes to the arteries and forms plaque. So blood is unable to move.
Yeah.
Okay, loose. I'm getting a challenge with my network. But so what happens is when you get the omega-3 oils, it helps to clear the bad density cholesterol. And you find that that's the plaque. We do have another product we call lipotropic adjunct, which actually helps in clearing the bad cholesterol. And that actually now allows blood to flow smoothly to your heart and back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's all about the flowing of blood. I think Fred, like he said, is having a challenge with his internet connectivity. But as you have heard, the challenges of having these oils in our bodies, and that is now the bad oil. It's scary for me. I don't know about you, that it solidifies inside the body and therefore it affects your blood flow. And this is when you have challenges with your heart and challenges with your hypertension. And this is clearly something that we need to be working on. But Fred says to us, there's two supplements that he has, and like he mentions, he's part of Neolife, and these are natural and organic. And the first one is omega-3, which is salmon oil plus, and the other one is lipotropic And I'll be dropping his contacts on our Instagram so that you can always reach out to him. Now, as we continue to speak about this, I encourage you to reduce your stress. And how do you go about reducing your stress? Like he said, avoid trying to do too much. As women, this is what we do. You know, and we're not doing it because or for any other reason other than we are predisposed to it as nurturers. You've come in from a long day. You are literally not even having time to internalize and to just download the day. You're going straight into the mode of motherhood or being wife or being sister or being caretaker. And this way, you are increasing your levels of stress. And as he has drawn for you a connection straight to hypertension and a weak heart, and then focus on issues that you can control and make plans to solve them. Just like he said, you know, focus on issues that you can control. There are things we cannot control in life, but again, we're predisposed to try and be the fixer, the solution. The people come to ask us many questions, and we're the ones who have the answers. Avoid stress triggers. What is a stress trigger for you? Figure it out, list it down. Today, when you finish off this call, think about maybe for the next half an hour, something that is stressing you. Write it down so that you know that is your trigger. And try and give it a wide berth if there's nothing that you can do about it. Make time to relax. That one we've already said. He told us in the last episode, make me time a thing. And you know, the one that I love the most is practicing gratitude. And in practicing gratitude, you are expressing it to others to help reduce stress. So yes, you speak to yourself with gratitude, but also you express it to other people, which is so, so important in this life of ours, where stress is something that is normal. So that is how the stress works. And remember the connection with the blood. Now, a healthy heart, if you just go for an ECG, which is one of those tests, you go into the hospital and they apply a few things on your chest and they take a reading. The ECG reflects what's happening in different areas of the heart, and it helps to identify the problems with the rhythm or rate of your heart. Now, I realized I had a problem because even after taking my hypertensive pills, I realized that I still had erratic heartbeat. And I had to go for ECG, which was not enough. I then had to wear one of those machines for 24 hours. And what the doctors found was that I had anxiety attacks, again, related to my stress. Today, I don't have those anxiety attacks. Why? I made a list of the things that make me anxious, and I'm aware of them. So as we come to the end of our session today of Tuesday Talks at 3, let us look at similarities from our last episode when it came to reversing diabetes, remember? So the similarities here in reversing or maintaining a healthy heart or managing your blood pressure is making positive changes to your lifestyle. Diet, diet, diet. This is what Fred was talking about. Exercising regularly. Give yourself at least 45 minutes a day. That's all you need, and make it every day. Walk. Go up and down some stairs if running is not for you. Bring down your weight to a healthy weight so that your BMI is reading off well. And those are the things that I would say would be similarities with reversing diabetes that I found when I did my research when it came to managing blood pressure. And I'm going to just read off a few notes here as Fred when we had him here. Shame that he dropped off and wasn't able to come back. And Fred said one takeaway is do not compromise your diet. Do not compromise. So many times we go for events, we go for parties, we go for cocktails, or we go for conferences. And there's a lot of food all the time. And I say do not compromise on your diet. Just like Fred said, choose what you're going to eat. If it's not there, make known your dietary requirements to wherever it is you're going. And the chefs are very happy to be able to oblige your request. So that's number one. Do not compromise your diet. Number two, adapt to situations that you cannot change. So be aware of them. I cannot change this situation. How then can I maneuver it? How then can I manage around it so that you don't end up being stressed? In fact, you now learn and you move forward. And the third one is to use natural and organic supplements, just like he spoke about last week. Thank you so much for joining us on Tuesday Talks at 3. That's it for this week. Next week, we will be looking at managing a healthy gut. Who doesn't want a healthy gut? So the recording of this episode will be up on our YouTube page by this evening. And when you're there, you know what to do, guys. We need to get to 500 subscribers. Please help me to do that. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification button, comment, share, so that we can have more people getting access to this information from Tuesday Talks at 3. Follow us on IG. You need to do that because I'm going to be dropping Fred's contact shortly after we finish this call. TikTok, I'm there as Clarity Coach Lucy. Visit me on my website. This particular month, we are coming almost to the end of the personal planning session. And it's amazing the cohorts that we have been running. Next month, we are bringing in core values to help you, to equip you to make better decisions. Thank you so much for being with me. Let us help build one another. And until next week, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now. Monkey Bay, midday.